This is Rise and Fall Bronze Age, an indie strategy game which I found recently where you can take control of one of many Bronze Age societies, right from the very early era, even at the very foundation of a lot of these civilizations, all the way to the post-collapse Bronze Dark Age era. This game kind of reminds me a lot of the way Crusader Kings, or I guess more specifically Europa Universalis Rome plays. It's very focused on characters like your ruler and the nobles, as well as it being a turn-based game, and that way maybe it's kind of similar to the game Old World, which is almost like a cross between Crusader Kings and Civilization. It does feel that way to me. This game is still in early access, and it's definitely very unfinished. At the moment, only the region of Egypt is actually playable. Some other regions are in the game, like they exist, but you can't actually play them. For example, if you start a new game, you'll see that the Sumeria region is there and built, but you can't actually play as any of the Sumerian states at the moment. However, I've seen from the devlogs that this is very obviously planned. Eventually, they want to roll out to have basically the whole Near East and eventually, I guess, the Eastern Aegean and the Eastern Mediterranean to be a playable region. So that is going to be coming soon. This is, again, still very much in beta or alpha version. So there's a lot of things that are not working properly or a lot of things that are not fully implemented yet. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm playing this game. I have played it a little bit already, and I did notice there are some bugs and a lot of things missing. But like I said, for this kind of game, I'm going to kind of keep my mind open a little bit. After I'm done kind of my video here, I'm also going to do a little bit of a summary based on my thoughts from playing and what I personally would like to see going forward in the development of this game. Still, this is a very cool game conceptually. There are really many Bronze Age themed games out there, like very, very few, especially outside of the specific city builder genre, which of course there was the game Pharaoh many, many decades ago. And then recently, at least in the last 5 years, there seemed to have been a very small wave of Mesopotamian themed games, like the game Nebuchadnezzar or Sumerians. Sumerians is the game I'd like to check out pretty soon as well. I did play Nebuchadnezzar and it was okay. It felt very similar to Pharaoh, but a little bit more simplified. Ozymandias is another example, more in the strategy realm, that's sort of Bronze Age themed, but it's very simplistic. It is fun, but it's fun in that it's more like a board game. I'd probably like it if it was a board game, but for a video game, it feels a little bit basic, and I find it also doesn't use the setting too much at all. But either way, let's get started with Rise and Fall Bronze Age. Okay, so when you first open up the game, you get a warning that this game is in early access. So this is just to let you know that if you have bugs or random things happen, to kind of be a little bit tolerant. And you know, I bought this game because for one reason, I really do like to support a lot of these indie devs, especially when they're kind of producing something that I really find interesting. Of course, sometimes, you know, everybody's been burnt by early access before, and it's happened to me before too. But at least in the cases where it's, you know, it's not too much, and it is something that I would like to see progress on, like something I'd really love to see finished, I do like to support these kind of games. You can also get this on itch.io. I see that they have the early alpha version for free, but I don't know if I'd bother playing that. If you have Steam, the demo available on Steam is quite good. I did play the demo before actually playing the full game, and it is a good representation of what the game is. So I recommend, if you don't want to pay for an early access game that is, like I said, it's definitely very early access. It is buggy and not finished. So you have to be aware of that when you're buying something. I'd probably, if I were you, I'd pick up the demo, because the demo is quite good. It'll give you a taste of the game, and maybe watch list it for when it does come out. If the developer is making some good progress, it'd definitely be worth checking out if you like these kind of grand strategy games. All right, so here we go here. Rise and Fall Bronze Age, start a new game. Now, you can see there's a lot of dates available, all the way from 3400 BC to 1450 BC. So all the way into the collapse era and even after the collapse era. So collapse era was what, like I don't remember what it was, 1177, right? So maybe a little bit after this would have been the full-on collapse. So it doesn't exactly go there yet. A lot of these dates are not unlocked yet. One thing I mentioned is that when you have to kind of progress to that date to unlock it. So I don't know if that means like I have to actually play through all these eras to actually get there. That is a little bit annoying. I wish these eras were more open, but I'll kind of go over my my problems with the game a little bit later. Either way, I'm going to start in the earliest era, the early pre-dynastic Egypt. You can also go into the end of pre-dynastic Egypt. Again, you can only play as Egypt. It looks like there's a few other regions that will be developed later: Egypt, Mesopotamia, Canaan, and Anatolia. Perhaps I read that the dev is also considering the Aegean to be developed later, so maybe you'll get some Minoan or some Mycenaean Greek kind of settlements as well. That'd be pretty interesting too, to have a little bit more diversity. But I would like to see the other ones later. I think the next region to be developed is going to be Mesopotamia, because from what I've seen so far, they're by far the most developed of the non-Egyptian regions. So I'm going to move on through here. I'm actually going to start in the early pre-dynastic. It doesn't really matter too much. There's not too much difference in terms of like events and stuff. It's not fully developed yet, but let's start here. This will be fun. As for which faction you choose, again, you can basically play as every single little province. In the early pre-dynastic, there's very few big like kingdoms or big settlements. Basically, almost every province is an independent little chiefdom or fiefdom and stuff. Egypt itself is split into three main regions. You have Lower Egypt, which is basically the Delta region up here, with a lot of different little areas. You have Middle Egypt, which is this section, and then you have Upper Egypt, which is this one upriver a little bit more. So they do have some differences in terms of what they offer and what advantages they have. They do have a few recommended factions. I'm just going to pick one of these because there's so many of these little factions available. I do kind of like that, but most of them don't really have any flavor. Mostly these main ones have some kind of flavor to them. So the few ones they recommend are Nekhen, which is the capital of the Horus worshippers. You can see when I select each region, they talk about the god they worship. And each region has its own kind of patron deity, though only a few of them are really relevant. The main ones in the Upper Egypt region are Set and Horus, and the main rivalry for these factions is between Nekhen and Nagada, which are the kind of premier leaders of either the Horus worshipping faction or the Set worshipping faction. You can also have this one recommended in the Delta region, who's one of the larger Delta areas. They also give you a little bit of information about these states. Purwajet is the only port in the Delta and is a big trading power. So if you want like a lot of trade income, this could be pretty good, though I don't know how well trade is actually implemented in this game. Ajbru is like another nation in the south of Egypt, in Upper Egypt. This one is worshipping Osiris, and I guess they present it as a possible alternative to Nekhen and Naga, who are the two kind of main factions. All right, let's get started here. I'm going to go with the chiefdom or the kingdom of Nekhen. I'm not too familiar with ancient, especially pre-dynastic Egypt, but I believe Nekhen was like the premier power historically in Upper Egypt anyways, though I'm not sure if they were the power to actually unite Egypt. I know they were the kind of leading power, especially into the late pre-dynastic period. But when it came to actually uniting Upper and Lower Egypt, I don't actually remember where this group come from. But let's get started here. We'll start with Nekhen, worshippers of Horus. Okay, and they give you a few tips. So one unique thing about this game is that it tries to balance expansion, which I find to be a really interesting idea. Egypt is disunited, far from the time when all soar only by our chief Horus. The inhabitants of proud Nagada are devoted to Set, eternal rival of the falcon god. By subduing them, we may well reunite Upper Egypt under the banner of Horus. So Nagada will soon be conquered, and then the will of Horus will be realized. The map is a little bit lo-fi, to be honest. You do have to kind of zoom out to really appreciate what it looks like. But you can see this is the region here. It basically covers all of the Near East region. And these are the only areas that actually have provinces. Anatolia, as well as Sumeria, Mesopotamia, Canaan, Levantine region, and then the region of Egypt, and then a little bit into Libya as well. So these are the only regions that actually are somewhat developed. And again, only the real Egyptian area is playable. Everything else is basically marked as like tribal. And the Sumerians are also still there. They're the only other place that are marked as like a civilization, but I don't know if there's much interaction with them. Now, let me talk a little bit about some of the features of this game. One thing I was mentioning is how this game tries to balance expansion. Basically, when you're a small power, which I am right now, I only have one little territory here, which is Necken. It's much easier to control for sure, and you can kind of fully make use of all the resources of whatever territory you have. So even though you have less available to you, you have much more control of it, and you can leverage your power much stronger. You also don't need to worry about things like corruption or nobles, doing their own thing, or rebellions or whatever. All these other things, and all those problems increase as you expand further and further away. As well, the cost for actually continuing to expand. For example, right now, if I attack one of my nearby provinces, it probably wouldn't be too difficult to do so. It might cost a little bit of money, but probably not too bad. However, if I start expanding further up into Lower Egypt, or I should say up into Upper Egypt, Upper Nile area, into Nubia and the Sudan, or down the Nile into the Lower Egypt area, it's going to become increasingly expensive and very difficult to control. So when I played this game previously a little bit, I did notice that as I was expanding, I was having a hard time keeping all my territories in line and stopping, rebellions and stuff like that. But let's go through the game here. I think I have a pretty good grasp of how to play. Let me just explain some things. So at the top, we have our corruption indicator. This tells us basically how corrupt our dynasty is. So since we're extremely centralized, this tab tells us the centralization of our kingdom. We really don't need to worry too much. It means we have a really tight control over everything. As our centralization goes down, and as we expand, our corruption will necessarily increase. Same if we give more autonomy to the nobles, more freedom to the nobles, our corruption is going to go up. Our treasury, pretty basic, just the amount of money you're getting. All our money right now is coming from taxes, and we can get more money from other things like slaves, tributaries, and so on. Centralization, already mentioned. Population is pretty important. In this game, you do have like money and resources available to you. If I can find the resource menu, I'll look for it later, but basically your population is the main resource that you expend. So when you're doing things like developing areas or building things or fighting in wars, you'll gain or lose population, and that directly ties to your entire success of your rule. Last is your mat. Mat is a very complex Egyptian idea, and again, I'm not nearly close to being an expert about Egyptian history, but you could almost define it as like your personal prestige or your legitimacy as a ruler. I think it's helpful to think of this as similar to the Crusader Kings prestige system. The higher your mat, the more legitimacy you have as a ruler, and the more able you are to control things and just basically govern your whole empire and make decisions. If your mat goes down, for example, a new ruler will generally have a lower level of mat. Or if you make bad decisions, you lose wars, whatever happens. Maybe you have some bad events as well. Maybe you can't handle a drought or a flood very well. Your mat will decrease, and you'll slowly lose control of your kingdom. One unique thing about this game is actually if your mat goes down to 0, you lose the game. You just instantly lose. Your kingdom sinks into chaos. It totally disintegrates, and you instantly lose the game. So that's a very unique feature, because in other games like Crusader Kings, if you lose legitimacy or prestige, you don't like exactly lose. I mean, it's very bad, of course, but this one, your kingdom just falls apart. It's very Arthurian in that way, where the fate of the kingdom is irrevocably tied to the fate of the king. So either way, let's get started here. We have a few notices. Administrative efficiency is a little bit low. We would like it to get higher if possible. My issue is because my population is too big, so it's reducing the efficiency. I can increase efficiency with these things, getting more priests, more scribes. I can also get the nobles to do more administrative duties. So let's go to the elite menu and take a look at the nobles. This talks about the cult and the gods. To be honest, it seems like the god system is not that well developed. Basically, only Egypt even has gods. Like you can see the gods of Upper and Lower Egypt. These are the two pantheons. Right now, we are worshiping Horus. Horus is our patron god, though I don't really know how to interact with this at all. Like, I don't know what to do with this. I think this is not really developed that much yet. You can check out other areas. Some of them have some development. Some of them basically have nothing, but I'm guessing these are all the areas that will eventually be included in the game. Definitely Sumer and Canaan are the ones coming next. Anatolia will be eventually as well, but definitely not developed. I think Sumer is what's going to be coming after Egypt is finished. which I don't mind. I'd rather them finish one area, even if it is just like Egypt only, rather than spend so much time in a bunch of different areas. Right, so I think the clergy and the religion system doesn't really do anything at the moment. At least if it does, I don't know how to do it. They have this thing, Dawn 100. I don't really know what this does. A lot of this game, the developer of this game is French, so some things are still not translated into English, and I don't know what this does, Dawn 100, so I don't want to click it. Nobles, talks to me about the loyalty of the nobles, the influence, they have 0 influence, and then privileges, I can give some privileges to the clergy or to the nobility. I do want the nobles to work in the administration, so I'm going to boost up their service in the administration as well as their service in the army, because we are going to be conquering. We're going to try to conquer further into Upper Egypt and then go after our rival, the Set worshippers in Nagada. We can also do a few other things to boost the loyalty of the nobles, because the nobles are not that loyal right now. We could do things like give them some loyalty pensions. Let's maybe do that. That'll help the loyalty a little bit. I guess it won't give us much loyalty. Number requested 2, so they want 2 privileges. Let's give them some personal guards. So there, they have 2 privileges, and hopefully that'll improve their loyalty. We could also give them inheritance of offices, but I think we'll leave it at 2 for now. Clergy don't want anything, so we'll leave it at that for now. What else do we have? We have the building menu, but I don't know if this actually works. When I try to use this, it seems like it doesn't work, or does it? I don't know. Like, I don't know how to make this work. I guess this is supposed to be where you can just quickly, like a quick build function, so I can just quickly click something and build it, but it seems like it's not working. I don't really know, to be honest. But for example, like this is weird. I don't know why this is doing this. Okay, there we go. Political map. If I want to build something, I usually have to right-click the province and then go to buildings, and then I can build something here. So I can build some stuff. Basically, the core of my economy is going to be farms, so I do want to build those. Roads are also really important, and some other buildings. So basically, there's 2 types of buildings you can build. These are insta-build, and these ones take some time to build, and these have more varied effects. I think I'm going to put some money into mining would be good. Do I have any mines right now? Land, what we're producing, we have tin mines and we have a quarry, so we're not mining that much. All the gold mines are a little bit further north in the Nagata region, so we do want to conquer them later if we can. They do have all these materials, though again, I don't really know if they do anything at the moment. Like, basically when I played, I didn't really have any interaction with resources, but I'm guessing that these resources are going to play a big role later. Definitely, if you know anything about the history of the Bronze Age, is how important trade, international trade was, and of course the trade for bronze and bronze-making materials like tin and copper. So I'm assuming that's going to be a big deal later, but right now it's really nothing. I'm just going to invest a little bit more in my farms, because farms are important. We have a lot of good land here in Necken, so we want more farmers. Farmers are the bedrock of our kingdom. Now, what do we have? We have to build our monument as well. This is very important. Building the tomb for our ruler. Again, there's not much in terms of monuments we can actually make. We can only make a burial tomb. And we have a lot of sizes we can choose. This is not that relevant right now, but you can get more legitimacy with a bigger tomb. But for now, I'm not going to build it because I don't have any money. So we'll worry about that later. We're losing some mat right now because we're above 100, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. You tend to want to, it doesn't really matter if you're higher anyways. I mean, just you can use some of that for some different purposes, but generally your mat will tend to go towards 100 if things are okay in the kingdom. Let's see about the tomb then. How much will that cost to build the tomb? So let's build our tomb. We'll get it done with. They have this construction time estimated, but it seems to be just they'll instantly build it. So I don't know about that. I'm going to build a normal size tomb. I can afford it. So just tomb built immediately. So whatever. A lot of these things seem to not be developed yet. So I'm assuming eventually the tomb will take time to build. So you have to start the tomb early in your reign because it might end up taking too long. And if you die without a tomb, it's going to be a very bad thing for your kingdom. In real life, of course, the kings would basically start building as soon as they became king. So as soon as you become pharaoh, you basically got to start building, especially if you want a very big tomb, because it's going to suck up a lot of workers and a lot of capital. But so far, it seems just insta-build, so I don't know. Same with these things, the temple and then the palace don't really have anything. They're all work in progress, so these basically don't do anything. Let's continue on. Let's invest a little bit more money in our farms, I guess. Actually, you know what? We can afford a fort. Let's build a fort because we are going to start conquering pretty soon. We're going to conquer the rest of the tribal chiefdoms or small polities in Upper Egypt before we go after going further downriver. Territories with a revolt risk. Oh, only 2 revolt risks. That's not a big deal. Revolt is a worrisome thing, so you do have to keep an eye on it. We could probably attack one of these. Maybe let's attack one of these guys. We do have a pretty low reputation, so let's attack this one. Ooh, that's a bad idea. We have more morale, but slightly less troops, so we actually may lose to this. And we can't run away. Basically, we have to start, and then we can retreat, but it's not good to retreat. Let's try anyways. Can we beat this? Okay, we won anyways. So the military combat system is very basic. And you can do a few things after you beat them. You can loot the province. You can put everybody to slavery. You can also slaughter everybody. I don't know if there's any reason to slaughter people. It seems like better to not do it. And you have a few options what to do. You can just leave them. This is basically if you just want to raid them for slaves or something. You can annex them or you can vassalize them. I think I'm going to annex them because why not? I guess vassalization makes it easier to control the territory because you're not directly controlling it. We can also invest. Let's invest in the roads. All the territories leading out from your capital, you should invest in roads because they will help with efficiency and prevent revolts and stuff like that. Okay, what else can I invest in here? I can't invest that much there. Let's upgrade our roads in our capital as well and our farms too. Let's end the turn. Okay, I'm just going to keep developing our territories here. Let's upgrade our roads in both of these areas. We'll have max level roads, at least for our current technology area. Okay, that's fine. Looks like Nagata, our rival, has also been conquering a little bit. Let's see if we can conquer this final southern territory, but I want to build up my fort level a little bit and work on our development too. So let's build up our fort level and keep investing in things like our farms as well to get more farmers. More farms means more farmers, and more farmers means more soldiers eventually. Let's keep investing in this stuff. Get our irrigation canals. Irrigation's also good. It helps prevent the farms from being destroyed if there's a flood. Flooding is obviously a big problem for Egypt. So you want to worry about that. Or really, I guess both regions. Both regions of Egypt and Mesopotamia are riverlands, so flooding, I imagine, will be a big problem. I wonder how they'll handle that when they move on to Anatolia or other more hilly regions rather than the riverlands. So I guess they might have to change some systems for those areas. All right, let's end the turn, and then we might consider going on a campaign next year. Oh, we have an event. Okay, it's reported to you in council meeting the son of a merchant family has been arrested. His attempted crime is to kill the head of a noble family. You know the merchant is rich and is more useful to supply the capital, but you're taking about attempted murder, not a petty crime. So let's see. I will not tolerate it. Let's cut off his hands, then behead him. Let his father pay an exemplary fine. To want to kill a nobleman is attack on the sovereign. Let him be strangled. Let's do this. Follow justice. Let's also go on our next stage of conquest. Conquer further up the Nile. Okay, we have a big advantage over these guys. They do have all the system of military, but I don't know how to get these better ones. I don't know if this is implemented yet. Right now you can just get the peasant levies. Maybe as the game develops, you can unlock higher levels of military to make it more dynamic. But right now, it's basically just who can mass the most dirty peasants to throw out the enemy. And unfortunately for Inebhej, I have more dirty peasants than they do. All right, victory. Very basic. Let's loot. Let's put everyone to slavery and annex. I don't know if there's any reason to not enslave people, because slaves basically just help your economy. So we are the masters of the Upper Nile. We can also keep going into tribal territory. Now, you can't conquer tribes, but you can subjugate them. So maybe we could do that as well. We have enough. We might have enough money. Yeah, let's subjugate this tribe as well. Good. Let's loot. Let's put to slavery, and let's slaughter them just for good measure. And we'll make it a tributary. Okay, good. So we are the masters of the upper Nile into Nubia and the Sudan. So we can go deep into Nubia if we want, but I don't know if there's any point for that right now. what kind of mines they have here. They have mines. Oh, they have lots of gold mines. Oh my god, that's going to be great for our economy later. So this was actually a good conquest. Gold mines and gem mines are going to be useful. What do these other ones have? Let me see if they can give me information about these. This one has gem mines, lead mine, and quarries. This one doesn't have any mines, and what do we have in our main province? Just quarry and some tin mines. Let's see if we can develop some mines here. Oh, we can't build any mines here. I guess there's nothing mineable here. We could build something here, or we can build stuff. We can't build buildings, unfortunately, in the tribal territories because they're just a subject of us. But we can build something here. Let's build some roads at least to connect them up to the kingdom a little bit more. And then we'll start moving on our rival, Nagata, once we develop our state a little bit more. We do have to look out for revolt risk. It looks like we can unlock a technology. So the technology system is a little bit odd. Basically, as time goes on, I'm not really sure how this point system works, to be honest. But basically, it'll just tell you you can unlock a new technology. So right now I can unlock an urban technology, and I can choose from one of these. Wealth production from mines, metal production from mines, inhabitants, wealth production from roads, production from artisans, or something about urban sanitation. Okay, I'm going to take... you know what? Let's go for the mining bonus. That might be good. As for anything else, I'm not really sure how this stuff works. Like, I don't know what these things do. How to actually do this or unlock it. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Let's continue on. We can also take a look at our dynasty. So this is my leader, Nihor. He has pretty good stats. He's a martial genius. He's very healthy. He's got normal charisma, and he's also intelligent. So it has these kind of like personal stats related to the character. Again, a little bit like Crusader Kings or EU Rome. It also talks about some of his values and some other kind of traits, his personality traits, his culture, and how long he's been a ruler, his XP, and so on. You can also look at his sons. So he has a few sons right now. I guess daughters don't matter. Let's nominate my son as a vizier to give him a little bit of experience. My heir apparent, will mark him as the vizier. We have some elites in the kingdom, the high priest of Horus, and then this guy who's just like a noble. This guy, what can we do with these guys? I don't know, not much. I'm not going to bother with them right now. Reign ambitions. I don't have any ambitions. When you have a new ruler, you can choose an ambition. But since I just started with this guy, I have to wait till he dies to choose a new ambition. Ruled for 12 years. Our wife system is we're monogamy, though we can change that later to different kind of systems. And we have primogeniture, which just means the eldest son inherits. Laws, we can choose some different laws, like can we take slaves or no? Can we take slaves from debt? Can we educate the nobles? I'm actually going to change this to, it'll cost 20 mat, but we have an overflow of mat right now. So I'm going to change to military education for the nobility. We're going to focus a lot on our military, I think. I don't want to go below 100 mat, but we'll leave it at that for now. Let's continue. Okay, so let's develop our states a little bit more. We're going to build more forts. Upgrade our fort levels in some areas. And we should also build our palace as well. Especially in our capital, we'll build that. And invest the rest into a few farms. And soon we're going to have to move into Nagata. But I wonder if we can push deeper into tribal territory. The distance of this territory will give you minus 1,000 to the morale of your troops. Ooh. That's going to be bad, right? That's pretty far then. So maybe we shouldn't go too deep into the tribal territory because it's going to be hard to push deep into the Upper Nile region. We could go after Nagata. They're pretty small right now. We do have a big advantage, but I think I'm going to keep investing in my state for the time being. Let's build a few more mines in the meantime. That'll be good. Upgrade our mining level. We're getting a lot of income right now. Just keep developing our territories will be pretty good. Keep developing our farmlands as well. Again, farm is the backbone of your entire economy. And now we have factions that plan to attack you, Nagata. Okay, so we're going to attack Nagata first, next turn. I think we can take them. Let's see. Oh, we have a huge advantage. Let's take that. So easy, easy. Loot and put to slavery, and we could slaughter them just for fun, but I think no. Let's just annex it. Now, I don't know why you would vassalize. I mean, maybe vassalization makes it easier to sustain the kingdom, but I would like to see if we can unite as much of Upper Egypt as possible. We can maybe even just crush Nagata right now. So Nagata still has a few provinces. Let's see if we can take Nagata's capital. We still have a big advantage. This game feels very steamrolly, to be honest. Like, I feel like as long as I keep having money, I can often just steamroll all the provinces. So Nagata is basically eliminated now. Now, there goes my rival of the early game. It seems very easy to fight, especially because it seems easy to, like, kind of snowball your state. The biggest threat to your state, honestly, is just collapsing from revolt risk and stuff like that. So Nagata now doesn't exist. Revolt risk is pretty high in some areas. Oh my god, this is so high. 20% chance. Let's actually do something here to deal with that. We're going to increase the autonomy of this province by 40%. And this one as well to lower the revolt risk a bit. Everyone else is pretty okay. We can increase these guys. Increasing autonomy just lowers the taxes I get and the administrative cost, but also means the revolt risk is a lot lower. So we'll do that. Okay, so we are basically the masters of Upper Egypt. Again, not much else to really do. I'm going to invest a little bit in Nagata. So Nagata's got the gold mines. Let's build... Oh, I don't have enough money for more mines, but we can invest in some roads at least. Let's do that. We do need to unite the kingdom, so we got to build roads everywhere. We got roads in all our provinces. We can't develop the tribal areas, but that doesn't matter. They're kind of like not much anyways. Okay, there we go. Keep investing in our territory. After so many years of conflict, the royal Horus has defeated the vile Set. The blood of the hawk reigns over Nagata, and one day it will rule the whole of Upper Egypt. No, the whole of the lands of Egypt. Glory to Horus. During the daily walk, a group of guards brings one of your advisors to your feet. The guard claimed the advisor was stealing from the treasury. So don't do this behind my back. You did the right thing, but take up with the council next time, and the expenses are mine, and not yours. A week in jails will teach you. Okay. So something about the reconstruction of infrastructure. I'll tell him just don't do it behind my back. I'd like if he can consult me first. Okay, someone's going to attack me. Iker is going to attack me. Let's use some of our map to change the laws a little bit. So what can we do? Education of the people. Basic techniques, that's good. Training. Basic levies, morale, and plus 25% expedition cost, which is a lot. Urban levies, farmer levies, and levy the whole population. We'll leave that level for now. You know what? Let's eventually we'll change it to cosmopolitanism once we start conquering outside of Upper Egypt. But I think everyone is the same culture right now, so we don't really need to bother that much. We could be xenophobic. I think everything is just Upper Egyptian culture, right? Does it let me tell me what culture everything is? So, Upper Egyptian, yeah. I think everything in my territory is Upper Egyptian, so we could go for a xenophobic culture. And I don't think it would matter. So maybe we could do this. It'll be 20 mat, but we'll lower the revolt risk, and this will help us a lot when we try to unite Upper Egypt. So that'll lower the revolt risk in all our Upper Egyptian cultural territories. Basically, this whole red region is Upper Egyptian culture. So we're going to focus on uniting Upper Egypt, so we don't really care about other cultures yet, because there basically are none. The only one is Nubian, but this is just some tribal territory, so it's not a big relevance. Can we invest in some things yet? No, we cannot. I do want to invest in the roads. So let's see if we can finish upgrading all the roads in our kingdom, at least to the max level we can afford right now. And what else can we build? I would like to upgrade the mines here. Build a few more farms at least. Okay, there we go. Keep upgrading our territory a little bit. And we'll have to go push on Iker next. Recent months, some members of the court have questioned the level of centralization in our state. Our lands are too vast for the sovereign, his administration to manage everything. That's why priests have managed. Okay, we'll lower centralization a bit. That's good. Actually, that's right. We should lower our centralization a little bit. Where is that? I forget which area that is. Administrative menu, I think. So yeah, we should lower. Our centralization is quite high right now. So let's actually lower it by maybe another 10 to make it easier to manage. Let's also increase the court expenditure. This will increase the loyalty of our nobles as well. How much we're paying for everything, that's fine. Taxes, I think we don't need to raise taxes right now. Okay, that's good. That's everything good. We can unlock some agricultural technology. Let's see. Intensive farms, cheaper farms, intensive livestock planting, intensive fisheries, better irrigation, and artisan farmers. I would like more wealth. Let's actually invest in that. More wealth from the farms. And we'll put some money into our farmers again. Okay, that's pretty good. We'll also need to invest in canals so we don't destroy the farms every time there's a flood. There, just upgrade everything. As much as we can afford, at least. And then we'll move on to our next conquest. We can afford a construction technology. Let's see, advanced roads, cheaper roads, efficient forts, cheaper forts, resilient roads, and resilient forts. Let's go for efficient forts. I think that'll be good. That sounds nice. Territories with revolt risk. Okay, revolt risk is really low, so not a big deal, I think. And Iker is going to attack us, so next year maybe we can have a campaign against Iker. I don't know. To be honest, I've never had an enemy attack me, though I've only played a little bit. I don't know if they actually do attack us. Let's attack the territory of Iker. Okay, we have a huge advantage. Just crush them, basically. Loot them, slave them, annex them. Great. Nice. Let's also go against this tribal territory. Again, huge advantage. Loot them, slaughter them, put to slavery. We'll slaughter the tribals, but we'll keep the other Egyptians on track. So Amaro, this is not Upper Egyptian, so we can put them to the sword, you know? Slaughter them a little bit. Okay, which ones have revolt risk? Oh, we have a lot of revolt risk now. Uh-oh. None of that bad. Just Nagata a little bit. We can increase the autonomy in Nagata a little bit. That's fine. Okay, that's very good. Maybe we can even go after Bat next. We can keep expanding, but let's invest a little bit into our new territories here. Again, roads are important. Roads help build connections between the kingdom and make sure everyone's in order. So our territory is going along. One thing I don't like about this Egyptian area is it's very linear. It's just like going up or down the river. I guess that's the problem with Egypt. Perhaps playing in like Sumeria, you have more diversity of where you can go. But I do wonder if this could be a little bit, I don't know, like changed. Either way, I'll talk about my feelings about the game a little bit later, about what I like about it and what I imagine could be improved in any case. Okay, let's continue on. Let's keep investing in our territories. Again, upgrade our roads everywhere. I think all our roads are all upgraded. How much does it cost for a mine? Let's actually wait to build some more mines in Nagata, because this is where, sorry, in Nekken, Nagata. So, because this is where our gold mining is, so we do want to invest in that if we can. Maximum mines in Nekken at least, so we got a lot of tin mining coming in. Okay, farming too is important. Farms are, again, our backbone here. I guess we'll have to keep pushing. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't invade. Let's invade Bat next. Like, why not? I don't know if there's any point to doing diplomacy when I can just crush them like this. At least I'm going to put slave and take everyone in Upper Egypt, because, like, why not? We can even go after Abaju next, because there's no reason to not, right? Why not? Just steamroll them. I bet we can steamroll all of Upper Egypt, like, right now, to be honest. Can we just do that? Oh, my ruler is getting sick. Sovereign has less than 3 health left. Something about a royal palace, but we can't do anything with this, so I'm not going to ignore that. High revolt risk. This one has a little bit of revolt risk. Let's raise the autonomy a little bit more. Okay, let's leave that. Let's end the turn. We won't steamroll all Upper Egypt Lex. I think our ruler is going to die next turn. And we might lose a lot of these territories we just conquered. Treasury offers died asleep yesterday. Your followers are debating who should replace him. They all say finding a replacement should be priority. A good bookkeeper is paramount while your hired priest arrives accompanied by another priest of his god. Introduce the person saying he would be good for the vacant position. So priests know the minds. I will test the priest and see his competence. That sounds best. Or I'm not going to appoint someone just because they pray to a certain god. Let's test the priest. We'll see his competence. Okay, our ruler might die very, very soon. Before he dies, I'm going to see if I can change any laws. What might be good to change? I could increase the levy morale. Debt slavery. Integration of slaves. Let's do strong integration. That'd be good. So more slaves can become citizens every year, and that way they can join our empire. More people is important when it comes to your kingdom here. All right, let's end. Again, my ruler's probably going to die very soon. His health is very bad, so he might die pretty soon. He's only 56 years old, but whatever. Okay, how much health does he have? 1 health, so next year he's going to drop dead, probably. So let's stay careful with our kingdom. Let's manage our revolt risk, and hopefully we won't lose half our kingdom when he dies. A little bit of revolt risk. Let's increase the autonomy in a few of these areas. Most of these are pretty low revolt risk. Maybe Nagata might revolt. But we can give them maybe a little bit more autonomy. That's okay. I don't mind too much. And our ruler's going to die next turn, so I'm not going to go on any more conquests yet. Okay, let's leave that as it is. Yeah, here goes. Our king died. Nihor II. Let's get another name. How about Quahor? And we can choose some ambitions for his reign. So let's do Temple Builder. We could do Conqueror as well. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do Conqueror, because we are going to be conquering a little bit. We're going to finish the conquest of Upper Egypt for sure. Okay, so did we lose any territories? We did not, which is great. Sometimes when you have a new ruler, because your legitimacy, your mat drops, and a lot of other things about the stats of your ruler, you often sometimes have a lot of your kingdom revolt. So it looks like the revolt risk is pretty low. I was able to keep it under control, so not too bad. Some new technology, some cultural technology. Let's see. Clergy loyalty, more XP, clergy influence, nobility influence, health of characters. And let's go for health. That seems good. Help our characters live a long time. And let's invest in a tomb. Now, we can probably afford a very big tomb. Let's go for like Colossal Tomb. Can we just afford that? Why not? Let's go for the biggest. This is going to be the guy who unites all of Upper Egypt. We're a little bit in the hole, but not a big deal. We can get that back next turn. Okay, there we go. Easy. So let's develop more of these areas. Again, finish with some of these things. And then we'll can try to finish off our conquest of Upper Egypt. We could also try going deeper in the Nile. I don't know if we can even go there. Minus 1,000 morale is crazy because it's too far away from our kingdom. We could go here. Is this possible? Minus 1,000 again. Oh my god. Too far away. I guess we can't keep going super deep into tribal territory. I do wonder if we can turn a tribal territory into a like normal population area, but I don't know about that, if it's possible. Either way, let's go after Akkad. Oh, we can get some more urban technology. Production for mines, intensive forges, efficient roads. Let's go for efficient roads. That seems good, because we do have roads built everywhere. Oh, this one doesn't have roads. Remember to build roads in every province, because they're very, very useful. Okay, let's get some of these built. Revolt risk. Oh, pretty small revolt risk. I don't care about that too much. We can see also the pantheons. Let's take a look at that. So everybody's following what? Cults of Upper Egypt. Okay, these are just like Upper Egyptian cults. Basically just a bunch of different ones, whatever they worship. Again, we are worshiping Horus. But it doesn't really matter. Let's continue on next turn, and then we'll try to finish off our conquest of Upper Egypt. Struggles for influence are commonplace in our court, so we can give more influence to the clergy or less. I think, sure, why not? That's fine. Doesn't really matter. And, oh, what? Our sovereign is dying already. Oh my god. He didn't do anything. Corruption. Investment in technology. What kind of construction technology? Okay. Cheaper forts, cheaper roads. Let's go for advanced roads. We can build our roads +1 road level. So we can do that. Maybe not yet. I guess next turn we can. Okay, there we go. I think our ruler might die very quickly. He's only 36, and his health is already collapsing. Does he even have a son? Damn, his son is weak. He's 13 years old. We're going to be in trouble. Ooh, we may have a big problem if our king dies this young. Like, oh boy, we might lose a lot of this. So this might be a problem then, if we have a big dynastic issue. Either way, let's end the turn. I think our ruler's going to die very soon. Should we even bother with the conquest? Maybe if we can survive, we can conquer 1 territory. Organize a meal. Council, simple even. Suggest finish the meal instead. Okay. Let's stop the meal here. Indeed, let's talk about the new tax reform. Let's do this. Energetic. Now, please, dude. Oh, he's going to die next turn. Well, at least in his time, we can try to conquer at least 1 territory. Let's see if we can conquer 1 enemy territory here. I don't know what the difference is with this, like making a relation with the other kingdom, emissary. If I get royal marriage, does that mean I can annex or vassalize them? I guess so, but I'm just going to attack them. Yeah, we can overwhelm them. Loot and put to slavery, of course. There, so at least we got some kind of conquest before our ruler dies. We could try to steamroll the rest of it, but I think I'll wait because we might have a breakdown of the kingdom once he dies. He's gonna die next turn anyways. So let's just invest a little bit in like roads and stuff. Okay, there we go. Let's end the turn. Jeez. Too bad he died. Let's go with Tomb Builder and let's also go with Temple Builder. We'll try to be a bit more peaceful because we're going to unite Upper Egypt and then focus on building up Upper Egypt a little bit more. Mountains of these have had enough playing us tribute. They've risen up, putting an end to our caravans, bringing back gems, gold, copper, and other metals. Until we organize new military expeditions in these mountains, the resources lie dormant in the bowels of the earth. All your tributary territories in Eastern Egypt have revolted. Uh-oh. Which is basically just 1 territory. Looks like we didn't have any other revolts, which is good. Let's check our revolt map. Oh boy, a lot of revolt risk. Jeez. Let's give these guys some autonomy. We'll have to calm them down a little bit. Okay, the rest of them are fairly low, so we can leave that as it is, I think. They will calm down eventually. We'll finish the conquest of Upper Egypt, and then we can focus on developing Upper Egypt a bit. Then we need to worry about conquering the rest of Egypt. Better irrigation. Let's go for cheaper farms. Why not? I haven't even come close to the farm cap yet, so we'll go with that for now. We do need to build a tomb. Let's save up a little bit and build a tomb, I think. But let's... buildings. At least the last guy, even though he died very quickly, at least he was able to afford a big tomb. Let's build up some more farms. Yeah, let's do that. Invest a lot in our farming. Our farms are still big money makers right now. Where our legitimacy is very low. Under 50%. So yeah, we got to build some tombs and stuff like that. Let's build some temples for now. My ruler gets a bonus from building temples. So why not build that? Temples and tombs. So I do want to save up for a big tomb if I can, but building some temples will help improve my legitimacy a little bit. Okay, we're going to save up a little bit and build a tomb. Actually, how much does it cost? Size for a colossal tomb. Ooh. We can go for a very big tomb. We won't be able to afford that. Let's go for very big. We'll go for very big. Not too bad. Now, we're going to be in the hole a little bit, but it will help our legitimacy situation a lot. Okay, just 2 turns, so pretty easy to afford it. Building a lot of temples. Let's build a temple in every province that can afford it. Yeah, building temples is a good way for me to get some legitimacy because, again, I am the temple builder. We should also upgrade our forts where we can to help our military, especially in the conquest of Middle and Upper Egypt. We're going to definitely want that fort soldier production and more morale as well. Okay, very good. Corruption at 25% and more. Bring efficiency closer to 100. So how can I fix my efficiency? Let's go to the administration. What can increase my efficiency? Administrative duties from the nobles, from population and buildings under construction. So too many buildings under construction is causing a legitimacy issue. Let's also lower centralization a little bit. And maybe we can try to involve the nobles in the dynasty a little bit more. Let's go to Elites menu. Nobles serve in the administration. You can do that. 400 administrative points. But we do have to increase their bonuses. If we want to ask more from them, we have to give them more stuff. So let's... we could give them inheritance of offices. Tax cuts. You know what? Let's increase the personal guards, maybe. Or, you know, let's give them inheritance of offices. They can inherit their offices. That'll be pretty good. Clergy, I don't really know of any reason to do anything for them. We could give it to them to increase our mat. Let's also, yeah, let's get the clerics to be involved in the administration. So that's good. Privileges, that's fine. We can also donate to the local temple a little bit. Let's do that. That's fine too. There we go. That'll increase our legitimacy. So there we go. That helps our reign a lot. We do need to worry about our dynasty because we don't have any sons at the moment. Now, how do I marry a lady of court? Do I have a wife right now? I don't know how to check if I'm married or not. Okay, the sovereign only has one wife. Does that mean I have a wife right now? It's hard to tell. I wish there was some kind of interaction with the females, you know? Even just the fact that you can choose who to marry or choose different wives. Because right now, I basically don't even know if I'm married or not. Like, is my character even married? Maybe. My health is 10. That's still pretty bad, you know? My health is pretty rough. Who's even going to be my inheritor, right? Who's going to be inheriting the dynasty? Ka, this guy is my brother. Okay. I don't know. That's going to be rough. My uncles as well. You know what? My uncle is a pretty good general. Let's actually make him a general. That'll be pretty good. That'll increase our legitimacy as well. But I'm kind of worried that all my people seem to be very unhealthy. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Let's actually continue our conquests in the meantime. Yeah, easy. Just wipe this out. So, again, combat is really easy. I don't know. Let's just finish the conquest of Upper Egypt. I do wish there was more involvement with the combat somehow. Like, I don't know what it would be, but... Alright, so now I've decided to skip ahead a little bit to the full conquest of the Upper Nile and of all of Upper Egypt. I still have the Delta region to conquer, but to be honest, as you can see, it's going to be very, very slow to actually push through this area. As the game goes on, it gets harder and harder to maintain these conquests. Not only is it more difficult to manage all the previous provinces and prevent them from revolting, it's also difficult to just maintain the amount of cash flow, just because of the fact that I often have to keep increasing autonomy, keep lowering centralization. All of this impacts my income. Now, you can keep developing provinces, and as your technology increases, it will become increasingly easier to develop provinces as well. But again, it's always hard to keep up with that pace of conquest. Now, of course, I understand this. It's to prevent you from snowballing too much. But as you can see, I've basically conquered almost all of Middle and even into the Delta of Egypt with basically the lifetime of one king. I've had this one king since he was basically a small boy. He ascended to the throne at about 14 years of age, and he's been ruling now for almost 50 years. And in that time, we've basically just continuously conquered with a few breaks in between to build some infrastructure and let the revolt risk kind of calm down. But in that time, we've basically had free reign to extend ourselves and conquer the remainder of Egypt. And so there's a little bit of time left. I don't know if we'll be able to finish the Delta region in the lifetime of this king. He's pretty healthy, but again, you know, he won't last that long. We'll see anyways. It is getting increasingly hard. Each province now is taking like at least 12,000 gold, if not more. And it's only going to go up and up as we keep pushing into the Delta because there's so many provinces here. So I think I'm going to finish off the video here. I was hoping to finish the conquest of Egypt in one video, but probably it'll take too long. We'll have to satisfy ourselves with just the ownership of all of Upper Egypt for now. Perhaps later, if I make another video regarding this game, I might try a full Egyptian reunification, though I think I would like to come back to this game after it's been developed a little bit more. It's still lacking in certain ways, I would say. It is pretty fun. I am going to be looking forward to how this game progresses, and I did enjoy playing it out, but I still wonder about what exactly else there is to do. For me, after just getting into the conquest mode, once I kind of establish a fairly decent power base, I feel there's not really any threat from anyone else. I keep getting notifications that this and that power is planning to attack me, but thus far I've never had anyone else attack me like in the game. So I've always been the aggressor. I've never been attacked by anyone. I've also found a fairly easy way to basically manage all the provinces. So in the first initial game I played, I did have problems managing the provinces, and I kept having revolts and provinces leave and even whole kingdoms separate. But throughout this whole game, I've basically never had any revolts, aside from a few of the tribal areas deciding to leave, but they're very minor anyways. Beyond that, the only real thing, I guess, that's been stopping me from just continuously conquering up and up and up the Nile has been the cost of it, because the cost is just increasing exponentially with every single province I take. At this point, it's becoming so unaffordable to continue that I really need to, I guess, I don't know, just work on my economy until it's more affordable, because I can't be waiting like 3 or 4 years to continue conquest. I guess that would be the only solution. Just spend 3 or 4 years saving up money to conquer like one province. It's not really viable. So I think what I might do for this game is try to spend some time to develop my provinces more, maybe improve my economy so I maybe only have to wait like 1 year between conquests. I don't know. At least if I can conquer one province per turn, would be more viable. Not that I want to continuously steamroll, but that's basically what I've been doing the whole game so far. To speak a little bit more about what I would like to see in this game, again, I do like this game a lot. I think this is definitely worth checking out. I would recommend trying the demo for most of you guys. I did buy it, but that's because I want to support the developer. But I would say for most of you, if you're interested, just try out the demo. It'll probably give you a basic idea of what the game is. But just from playing this game for several hours, I would like to give my opinions about what I would like to see. I already mentioned about what I liked in the game. I do like the setting. I do like the general theming and a lot of the structures of the game that are pretty interesting, like the kind of prestige system and so on. Though I never felt threatened by the prestige. I think the worst was when I had a child king. My current king, and when he came to the throne, my prestige level, my level of mat dropped quite low. And that was probably the closest I ever got to any kind of problem with that. But it's so easy to regenerate mat. And if anything, I've always had an overabundance of mat rather than any lack of it. I think one thing I would like to say is because I do like the mat system a lot, I wish there were more ways to threaten that, to threaten the legitimacy of the monarch and so on, you know? I would also like to see more character interaction in general. I feel like there's not really much character interaction, not just with my faction leader, like my king, but with all the nobles and stuff. I do see they're trying to develop a system a little bit like Crusader Kings or something like that, where you do have these nobles and characters. Or I guess another example, the one I mentioned, Old World as well, has that similar kind of system. But again, it's not really, there's not really much to do with the characters. Like even your leader, your faction leader doesn't really have much going on aside from a few events. You can choose something. I don't really see what the stats or all these things really do for the character. Like it seems like not really to do much with him. So more character interaction would be great. More diplomatic interaction as well would be great, especially if you can interact with characters from other kingdoms, other provinces. That would be very interesting as well. Have that kind of dynamic interaction between different areas. Even just more diplomatic options would be good, because basically I felt no real threat from my expansion. I got tons of aggressive expansion. What would normally get like you crushed in something like Crusader Kings. Basically, I had no real downsides to that. Like I could just expand continuously, and as long as I had the money and the manpower to do it, I felt like no real reason why I shouldn't do that. One thing I would like to see more story options for the few key regions. I don't mind having every single region be playable. I mean, it's nice for people who want to kind of role play as their own faction or just have a total sandbox experience. They could play whatever province they want. But for people who aren't that familiar with Egyptian history, and I mean, how many people are that familiar with like pre-dynastic Egypt? It's going to be hard for you, I think, to get involved with these factions. It would be nice if there's a little bit more of a story for at least a few factions. For example, the recommended factions, like whatever a few recommended factions they give you, I would have liked to see more of a storyline for them that's kind of engaging, and maybe include that with a sort of like quest system as well. Like you have different like quests to achieve or story moments to achieve. That way you can help build up your power, and that can tie into other things like your characters, your god, and so on. Improving the religion and military system would be nice. I could see there seems to be some kind of bones of religion system in the game, but I really didn't interact with it at all, and I don't even know what to do regarding it, like why I would interact with it. I would like to see more interaction with the religion system. It seems very cool, and it seems like the bones are there, but I think that's probably going to be something coming later. Same with the military system. The bones are there. I could see there's some bits that look like they could be developed more. And for reading from the devlogs and the roadmap, it seems like that's a next priority to improve the military system. But again, that's something I would like to see. Other things beyond that, I guess maybe some more trade system, like a resource trade system. I do see that they do have resources available, but having some kind of more in-depth trade system and making that relevant somehow would be good. I mean, if you ever investigate Near Eastern and North African history, especially in the Bronze Age, you know how much trade is not only tied to the success of the kingdom, but even the legitimacy of the king. I remember reading somewhere of a letter to the king Sargon II in Akkad, and it was basically some advisor to Sargon complaining that the wood he had was just inferior wood. He was dealing with some really soft fir wood, and he was complaining that it was no good, and he was almost like calling into question the legitimacy of the king, saying something akin to like, oh, you know, if we had cedar, like a great king would be able to get some cedar trees for our construction projects or whatever. But you know, if the king demands it, I will go with the inferior fir wood if the king says so. So he was kind of being a bit snarky to King Sargon there. But that's a good example of how the resources and even like the quality of the resources plays a huge role in like the legitimacy of not only the monarch, but of some noble faction, for example. Of course, everybody knows of E.A. Nasser, who is very famous in the modern era for selling bad copper and screwing over even like nobles and monarchs in faraway areas. So he was very infamous for giving inferior products. Beyond that as well, I think having, again, more of the character interaction, but if it was possible to play as a noble family within the kingdom, that would be pretty interesting as well. Again, that's not something I feel is like that necessary, it's just something I think would be cool. Obviously, when you play in Crusader Kings, you don't have to play as the king, you could play as like a noble house within the kingdom as well. But I think that's not really a priority. I mean, definitely just improving the kingdom management and your relations to the nobles would be more than enough. I don't think it needs to be a copy of Crusader Kings. Definitely playing as the king is the most interesting part. Also, relations with other states would be nice too. I mean, playing in the pre-dynastic era of Egypt, one thing I've thought of is what would I do exactly once I've conquered Egypt? Because once Egypt is conquered, where do you go from there? Because everything around me is just tribal territory, which is impossibly difficult to conquer. For one, it's too expensive, and two, it is just too much of a morale penalty to conquer tribal land. And you can't even do anything with tribal land anyways. So like, what would I do once Egypt is conquered? Just like wait 1,000 years until other civilizations appear? Like, That's, I mean, maybe it's kind of realistic. That's kind of what Egypt did in real life. That Egypt was conquered, and then they were basically internally sufficient for like a long, long time before they actually started to interact with outside powers. Only really in the New Kingdom, with like you have them expanding into other territories beyond Egypt. So I mean, maybe that's realistic, but it's not very interesting. Other things I would say, these are more just things I feel would be nice to add to the game, but definitely aren't that necessary. I would probably go with fewer eras. There's a lot of eras to choose from. Of course, you can only choose from a few at the start of the game, but I feel choosing just a smaller selection of eras, but have them be more impactful and develop the factions within them a bit more, would be much more interesting than having tons and tons of eras, even though that's maybe more historical. Another thing would be the possibility of some kind of hero system. I know it sounds a little bit funny, but if you think about all these myths and legends that come out of this period, they always focus on divine or semi-divine heroes, or even like god kings. Having something like that, like the ability to the apotheosis of the monarch as a god king or hero-like figure would be very interesting to develop your own cult as the monarch, especially playing in Egypt. Of course, the pharaohs were god kings. They were worshipped by their people, and they were seen as literally a god as well, the god in human flesh. So somehow having your own cult alongside the cults of the different gods would be very interesting, and that could play into a sort of hero system, which could also develop as time goes on once you involve other nations like the Mesopotamians, or maybe the Anatolians and Mycenaeans, who obviously have very long traditions of great heroes and semi-divine heroes doing this or that. Having that kind of mythological aspect of it would be very interesting too. You could even bring in some like great monsters. So, for example, in Lebanon, you have the great guardian of the cedar forest, Humbaba, who Gilgamesh notably slays. So something like that, some more interaction with the gods and monsters and heroes. I mean, that may be outside of what the developer wants. I kind of like that mythological aspect. But if you want to stick to a more realistic historical aspect, I do think having some kind of hero or divine leader cult sort of system would be interesting as well. But either way, again, I really like this game. I think it's a great game, and I think it has a lot of good things already there. Just a lot of these things that are there already need to be developed. I think this could be a great game. I would probably compare this a lot to another game, another indie sort of strategy game I like, Rise of the White Sun. In many ways, I find these two games very similar. They're both turn-based, sort of grand strategy games with a focus on characters. And I find this game could probably take a lot of influence from Rise of the White Sun, because I think that does something similar to what the developer of this game wants to do, but obviously fully developed at this point. Rise of the White Sun is definitely a complete game. This one is definitely still a work in progress, you know? But yeah, I would say that as a good inspiration for improving some of the systems that this game offers. But either way, I really like this game. I recommend you guys keep an eye on it, maybe try out the demo, and I'll see you guys again next time. So goodbye, guys.